Hello. I was in the Ninth Circuit Court right next to the World Trade Center attack tower. Right next to the World Trade Center towers, there's a court next to it, the Ninth Circuit Court in Manhattan. And I noticed the names there had roles with predicate acts, also with all sides, including societies they forced to collusions, including with Wethersfield police chiefs retired and police families tied to the same house/S involved with wire crimes and falsified police reports and police switching names and courts switch names too in different ways. Then they prevented writing since I was a kid so they could stack faked and change transcripts, faked recorded reality. A whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court, Hartford courts, and Middletown Court, not New Haven's. New Haven has a district court involved with a Brian Silver, who's involved with a Jonathan Maiano. And he's got brothers. I believe one of them is named Alex, who are also involved planting evidences at boxing gyms in Connecticut with people out of the state corrections offices. They have roles with people who run prisons, with child offenders, further with a principal child offender. Jonathan Maiano is also one of the ones involved with modern pastry and with Mazzucato pastry, where they're preventing them from following mandated law. As people involved with the police chief Cintron's family, his daughter, and the Mazzucato Bakery is married to a police chief Cintron's daughter, Jessica Cintron, also brought up by the confessions and demonstrations of a Jonathan Maiano, also with a whole bunch of people that live next to him and work next to him, like WFSB, and people with the name Spada. People with the name Spada have a whole bunch of sisters and a brother involved with this Collusion, spreading lies about me, and their boyfriends of theirs who have been planting evidences against me. Fake ties to me and a Jennifer Zito. They try to make a fake exception with a Ray Reynolds. Ray Reynolds is increasingly planting evidences with a Harris family too. There's a Kevin Harris who's one of the ones involved with medical offenders of kids, and a Ray Reynolds, who's one of the ones tied to a Ray Collo, and a Joe DeMoro, who have roles with Middlesex Community College's Facebook page, also further with the Wethersfield Police Facebook page, involved with a whole bunch of names with them, with federal crimes with the principal child offender. They have more sexual offenders of kids, leaders of them, and medical, and including judges and prosecutors' kids mixed in with it, because they already faked themselves, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me. Brian Silver has roles with Connecticut's District Court, a whole bunch of people out in the Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts before the World Trade Center attack. They were planting evidences on and off the campuses, and they were making the leaders of the kids and their kids abused to abuse the kids of others. The kids of a Dean Judd are recorded and confessed, demonstrated involved with foreign and domestic military on and off Hartford courts and all sides of the depositions of former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants. Thaddeus Grabowski is one of the ones on and off Fox Connecticut News. And those spots next to Fox Connecticut News, they've been planting evidences with names. There's a Mark Carone and Kevin Carone, people from the intelligence from Central Connecticut State University, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, roles with them with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me, with people with the name with people with the name Kerr and Perone. Has something to do with their neighbors too, involved further with the locations next to Central Connecticut State University, involved with predicate acts on and off of it, and the difference of that used. These are Christopher Walters also has roles with male and female intelligence, training them, including state police. Whiting Forensics is increasingly involved in intercities on and off campuses, planting evidences with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and proven child abusers, leaders of the kids, and more of them recorded, and abuses of their kids for it, and the difference of it uses. They prevent writing to keep writing fake, and to keep, tactically delusions right. New York City, you think that science spoke for New York City properly? Hartford, Connecticut has some black KKK themed and Confederate flag themed roles of the Wethersfield police, fabricating evidences, courts, on off the state judicial branch offices, wire crimes with Wethersfield Pizza, identity theft, frauds, and slanders with them. Joshua, and they lie about their motive. I don't even know Joshua. What's his name? I forgot his name. He was in a class. I never had one word of conversation with him. He was bullied by people he could probably beat up. Like my neighbor is one of them, and a Paul Zano. And his wife is reportedly a Maria Vizino. And her neighbors are further involved with some untimely deaths and child offenders, leaders of kids, including people next to the state corrections office, state judicial branches, board of education. It's increasingly ties to mayors are planting evidences. And a Joe Aiello recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by people that were involved with predicate acts on my streets and gun crimes and poisonous crimes with police and foreign and overt criminal enterprises and confessions tied to roles of rapes and things. Whether it's real or not, they have other kinds of confessions regarding their roles with the Facebook page of Wethersfield Police too, planting and changing digital evidences showing that to courts, but the courts have collusions with it. That's why it's important to have them on paper, one name and sequence. Russians and Americans have roles with psychiatry together, and ones who have badges, who are also with Ukrainian on off Central Connecticut State University with them, involved with child campuses through time. There is a sixth grade teacher who went to who was at the same campus, who has further known, for example. Rick Ciampaglione sought me out as a stranger to record, capacity, demonstrate, confirm. He was influenced to federal evidences, crimes roles with intelligence families in my area and on my street, like O'Brien and Collusion, have roles with judges and prosecutors, planting evidences. Also, a Jamie Carone is on Facebook, involved with Central Connecticut State University. He's one of the ones that, by people tied to him, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with federal evidences, crimes, and with educators associated with him. And then he's on Facebook demonstrating it's true. In other words, we have to get them on paper, one name and sequence. They've been putting fake conversations in papers. They've been calling people to the office, like when you're in high school or whatever, and they ask you questions, and then you say whatever, and then they put fake things in the database. Even fake happenings, fake ties between kids that way. And they exploit that. So they have not legitimate roles, even if they have legitimate roles, being unmarked police forms with the Los Solitos and people with the name Joey Quest, associated with my previous neighbors, involved with some untimely deaths at Trinity College. And identity theft, fraud, slanders, fake writing of letters attached to me, and digital. There's a Brian Silver who's one of the involved with a whole bunch of prosecutors and judges speaking fake things in records, and involved personally and professionally with medical families like a Leahy family, with drugs and medicines, crimes against little kids and their families, attaching them to fake conversations with themselves and others. Fear God for the ones who did have conversations with them. So they have all kinds of wire. They pretended through the mail, too. They had conversations. I'm going to read this. These are sources of Judge Napolitano. See, Russians and Americans have roles with torture methods since before our founders were born, that were bound also as that one singular breaching method's use of the tortures, singular, as a torture method, singular, as a breaching method, singular, black pupils. So that's part of the reason why we have black pupils, whites of eyes, a breaching method assigned black pupils and whites device to communicate other than nature communicates with it. And to blame other things, others yourself, for what that caused and keeps. Otherwise, that body was and is sensed, and that's adapted to, including if that body is a majority of people, including if it is everyone. Before there was a grouping of humanity, NATO, any kind of a grouping, those groupings of humanity, the breaching method measured and maintained the countries, the respective countries, already above locations, areas, and states, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw. So you have a bunch of talking heads who jump. In other words, they have the platforms with the news. They have the platforms where they can force people to listen to what they say. They want to keep people talking heads and change what we say and or self-value rolls with that. That's why Judge Napolitano, please follow mandated law. Let's get them on paper, one name in sequence. Let's go. Who disbelieves? Get me off the fake conversation. So I was a kid. They've been preventing. They put police reports with charges but no writing, and they put fake things in databases. You should fear God for what the Britain Superior Court has been doing with the people on my street, because these are also ones with Hartford courts, and people tied to them. They bring people from other areas who plant the evidences on all sides of the houses of the people that they have the higher life progressions tied to. And all kinds, in other words, no wonder the sciences are overtly / insidiously criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. That's how they get away with leaving out the revelations that come from having black people's rights of eyes assigned by nature and other entertained originally and still. Other things other than themselves are blamed for what caused slavery that our founders communicated for us to blame it on. The breaching method, for example, as a scientific value that nature itself demonstrates, where reason can be described and understood how it works. So you guys have sequence shifts, stupid jerks, tactically delusions raw, fake conversations with people. They pretended through the mail. One time, but 2 more times I haven't got a response yet. 2 times after that, I was only there for 3 days. They sent a thing like this, fake conversations with me, with the ones involved personally with the houses on my street, with predicate acts, falsified police reports, wire crimes, mail crimes. There are teachers involved with them. There are conversations with leaders of the kids, as ones further involved with child offenders. There's a Mr. Murphy who had a daughter who has a boyfriend involved with the name Kevin Harris. He's involved with FBI, and his mother is involved with drugs and medicines crimes with kids and putting fake things in databases, including at a campus I went for 1 year. They're putting, in other words, the youngest kids, then they're stacking roles with that. Rick Cianfaglione is involved with them with that, and with an O'Brien family, with Hartford Police, Rocky Hill Police. These are people with Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook brought up the name O'Brien also with their confessions. Sandy Hook has a whole bunch of ties to people involved with Wethersfield and intercities. These are people with Rocky Hill schools and the educators of them who have roles with predicate acts before they were even teachers. It's important to get them on name and one name in sequence. Connecticut Interbranch have been they switch names and sequences to measure and maintain that people are going to explain things wrong. Otherwise, they're going to change it for them. Or to measure and maintain, they don't let people speak because they already painted the people to fake conversations with themselves and with others. There are a whole bunch of foreign and domestic medical families involved with the same house /S with wire crimes with the Wethersfield Police in their Facebook pages of the Britain Superior Court's Facebook page, and Wethersfield Police have digital offenders and roles with the principal child abuser forced. That was recorded and it is recorded. Whiting Forensics increasingly has roles with predicate acts with names, people named Collusion and people tied to them. Phil Collusion, pretend I never saw him inside of a campus in my life, and I only saw him one time from a distance on the outside of a campus, and there are proofs that they took a picture of the person standing next to me because they were planting fake ties to me with people at that part of the campus, on the sides of the campus, including increasingly tied to my neighbors involved with wire crimes of the Wethersfield Police, and the ones who answer. These are people that answer the phones for the police, involved with fabricating police phones transcripts. And you have the talking heads with serious subjects who are used to measure and maintain. All the evidence we have to end these serious impositions and way worse. You know, look up blood clot. These are also people with their religious locations, increasingly people next to and at. It's a different religion now, but it was a born-again Christian place on Route 3. Names all along Route 3 have been with those names next to it, like a Robert Rodriguez. He brought up the principal child abuser's campus to me, and the name Scalora, which Wethersfield police also recorded involved with them and confessed involved with them with federal evidence as crimes. A Scalora family is one of the cousins of, per them, of a Ray Collusion and of a Joe DeMoro years ago, who recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. They've been stacking falsified police reports with the names next on all sides of the campuses and all sides of my house, as the ones with the Wethersfield police forms too. That's a method to this. It's important to have them follow mandated law. Judge Napolitano is a talking head. You have one of the better judges, now retired, but as a talking head, a tool. That's why they put him in New Jersey, and they have the streams of court. They want to believe in one. I believe he had 250 arraignments, some kind of crazy number, in the first time he sat before the court in New Jersey, per him in one of his YouTube videos, Judging Freedom with Judge Napolitano. He was one of the judges that was on Fox Connecticut News, or associated with Fox News. So these are also people with the CNN Facebook page, collusion with the digital crimes, as collusions with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, associated also with the confessions of the neighbors and through time increasingly involved with the Wethersfield police. I don't care if they have badges or what they're in time, and what are they doing with the unions too, with the Ray Collusion, the father of the Ray Collusion, because they have him involved too with that spot too, near Airport Road in Hartford. And these unions, they're planting evidences on campuses and into databases, also using roles with abuses of the kids, of the leaders of the kids, so they can make them self-value abuses of others' kids, and the forging names, switching names, preventing writing, and attaching everyone and everyone around them to fake conversations too. It's important to get them on paper. I've been asking since I was a kid to get them on paper. They put charges with no writing as collusion, increasingly with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, foreign and domestic military. There's ones with the name Violet and Nick LaPera, and has family members. I don't know their names. In other words, and people associated with the spots next to the state capitol with the foreign and domestic military. There's a Mr. Bernstein who was a sixth grade teacher next to my class, who had rules with the difference of that. Kids from that class came in and made confessions about a Chet Casper. I never saw him on a campus in my life. And a Debbie Gold. It has something to do with their roles all along the Berlin Turnpike, planting evidences. Also with the kid who brought up Chet Casper's name to me twice. He knew who I was. I don't know who he is. I don't remember his name. Someone who used to hang around with Chet Casper. And they have doctors who were teachers. There were two speech class teachers I had. One of them has roles with psychiatry and drugs and medicines crimes with the kids, in the form also of attaching people to fake and changed communications with themselves and with others, and sequence shifts. And they hid what I recorded before I had those two classes. They hid this with the names increasingly involved, like a Fred Gruzet, involved with people from private campuses who come on public school campuses and have roles with names on, and/or have roles with names on the public school campuses, planting evidences, federal collusions with all sides in criminal civil cases. A Judge Smith speaks fake things into records with the houses involved. A Judge Killian did that also, and their family members are also involved, and where they live next to their houses, and they're planting evidences on all sides of people's houses. So there's a Smith family with the Wethersfield police wire crimes, with the Wethersfield with Cololo. And they brought my new neighbor's confessions. He doesn't know it's a confession until he changed what he said about his roles with the hot dog place next to Central Connecticut State University and the dog. So the military, the people associated with this, Mark Violet and a Rick Sanfaglione with the prosecutors and judges on Covington Street. Also, they confirmed people that live on Covington Street with the name Ronald and Gil and others on the street recorded, confessed, demonstrate, confirmed they have roles with federal evidences, crimes with intelligence in the Gill family. That's seeded foreign and domestic through time. These are people also involved with the spots and names on off Johnny Duke's house next to Trinity College, with overt criminal enterprises, foreign and domestic, Afghan leaders and kids through time, involved with wire crimes, with the ones on my street in the Wethersfield police and the street over, tied to them. In other words, and they brought it up. In other words, I didn't even know what school Jamie Smith and David Smith went to, but they have roles with Afghan leaders and kids and people that know my name, involved with their judges, with their patients and criminals who run into the Hartford hospital, hide life progressions by attaching people to fake conversations with themselves, by yelling things out and then pretending other people did, etc. All kinds of federal crimes with evidences, all kinds of scams with lawyers, with the hospitals. You should fear God for all the money they steal. They have more scams than there are streets in Hartford. Probably more. There are more just with a part of not even real health care. More scams than there are streets in Hartford and houses too at the same time. These are some black KKK themed, Confederate flag themed, interreligious spots fakes. You should fear God. Hartford residents, let's get one real person on here, and let's get them from name switching and forging onto paper. So Facebook also has leaders of Facebook involved with the New Britain Superior Court Facebook page, and Wethersfield Police fabricating evidences with them. FBI, the Marines Facebook page is involved. It's inter-Marines. I mean, inter-services, though. You have a bunch of fakes who will come up and say whatever to block people from speaking and to keep the nature of conversation incapable of being proper for the law. So you have a bunch of criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw services people too. You should fear God. Get on paper. Don't keep fucking hiding and plotting. Get on